think a lot of people listening might resonate with this. You have a lot of debt, there's a lot of pressure, but you're also really like eager and enthusiastic to help people. But it's like, how do I get people to come see me? And if you have gifts and you have information and you have to get it to people and you deprive them of that, it's like, you can't operate like that. Have I cross-posted and done stuff on YouTube? Yes. Have I done this for Facebook? You bet. Have I done TikTok? Yeah, not with much success, but some people kill it on there. So I had, colleagues that they closed their practice. Nobody was answering the phones. Nobody was answering the emails. Yet here I was, I'm like, I'm just going to double down on what's been working and keep the videos going.
Imagine this. You just graduated, you passed your license, you opened your practice, and you're so eager to help all the patients that you can help with all this knowledge you accumulated in years of full-time college. And then crickets. Nobody comes. There's nobody coming through the door. And that's scary. And that's worrisome because most of us have student loan and we have to pay rent and all this is accumulating and now we're freaking out. Well, that doesn't have to be so. And today I have a guest, Dr. Drew Jameson, who's coming to share how he took his practice post-school to, oh my God, nobody is coming. I can't figure out how to get my practice up and off the ground, to so busy that it's seamless, that it's awesome, that it's growing on a daily basis. How he did this, we're going to talk about it today. And we're going to give you so many tips on how to get out of your comfort zone, how to focus on the right tip, which is to support your patient and to focus on supporting and educating your patient. And getting out of your comfort zone by going on videos, which I know nobody wants to be on video. So many of you could, I can't do this. But we have some tips about that are going to blow your mind. This is something you don't want to miss. So let's go. I'm so excited to welcome Dr. Drew Jameson on the AcuPro Show today. We have known each other for probably over 10, 12 years at least. And he's been practicing in the Vancouver area this is the 9th year. So he's been around the block. But what's different about Dr. Drew is that he's not an acupuncturist. He's actually a naturopathic doctor. But what he has to share today, you are going to love. So I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, 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 Monsieur Drew.
Hey, thanks so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Drew, can you tell me, because that's a story I don't know about you, is how you got into naturopathic medicine, and was it a second career for you like most of us in this field?
Yeah, so I got into it through my own personal health struggles. It was in my early 20s. I was playing a lot of football, lifting a lot of weights, and I had a lot of chronic injuries and pain. And I would go to the standard, medical model, chiro, physio, massage, medical doctor, that kind of stuff. And they would say, take this painkiller, try this treatment. And the really big thing that kind of didn't sit well with me was a lot of them said, stop playing sports or training so hard. And it was tough for me at age 21, 22 to be told that, where it's just like, so I'm just going to be stuck in pain for the rest of my life. And I can't enjoy the sports that I want to play. And I knew the side effects of taking painkillers long-term. And so after trying all that and getting some relief, but not getting full resolve, it just so happened that I stumbled into a naturopathic doctor's office. So there was an ad in the paper for sports medicine and prolotherapy. So at the time I had a lot of ligament and tendon problems and no one had really treated the cause of my pain. And I think that's when the light bulb came on for me. I met with a naturopathic doctor. He's still a good friend and colleague to this day. And he helped me reverse my injuries in like 3 to 6 months. So right away, I was just shown a totally different side of medicine that I didn't know existed. And I knew kind of right then and there, my life would be changed forever. And so I went under his wing for about 6 years as a patient. Anytime I had an injury or a problem, I would go see him. He would straighten me out. And I was able to still train hard, live, an active life. And then after about that 6 years with him, he just turned to me and said, you have a good background in, sports and fitness, and kinesiology was my undergraduate degree. And he said, you should become a naturopathic doctor. And I remember just looking at him then, I was like, you think I could be a doctor? Like, what? Like, I'm just a kid from Langley and I just have a kinesiology degree. Like, what are you talking about? I can be a doctor. And then he said, no, I think you'd be a really good addition to the profession. And you should go look at the curriculum. And So right then and there, I went home, I looked at it, I called him back, and I said, I'm going to apply to become a doctor. And I thank you for the push and the vote of confidence, because I'd always thought of going back to school, but at first it was more chiropractic I was leaning towards. But I looked at the naturopathic curriculum, and it had the chiropractic, the physical medicine, the nutrition, the acupuncture, the herbal medicine, like just a vast toolbox that we have access to. And so I looked at that curriculum and said, I think that's probably the one for me. So once I went back to school, I was ready to rock because I was really passionate about that material. And those were 4 wonderful years for me. And that was obviously where I met you as well. One of my favorite, high energy teachers. My pain and my journey kind of led me to this point where I was like, once I sorted myself out, I need to bring this medicine to the masses. And that's kind of one of the big things I do now, is tell as many people as I can about the wonderful healing powers of naturopathic medicine and how it can help them with their health.
You were a great student because you wanted to learn. The students that go to school and they're kind of there, but they're not always there. But those students like you were, I want to learn, I want to apply, I want to see, and then I want to be able to help people. It's good that you had that advice. Sometimes someone puts something in your ears that you're just like, oh, what? Can I do this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, and look at that. 9 years after graduating, here you are changing lives, helping patients. I was looking at your Instagram actually this morning because we're connected there too as well. You said, I helped over 5,000 plus people. DM me if you want to be my next health success story. I want to talk about this because I know we're going to talk about marketing. And you and I know that we have such a great education when it comes to naturopathic medicine or TCM, but we don't have an education in business, how to grow a practice. And so we want to help people, but if nobody comes through the door, we're not helping anybody. And the problem is a lot of us, when we graduate, first of all, we don't know what to do because we have no business experience. Second of all, we might not be interested in business because we love the medicine. The business part is not what we went to school for. However, if we don't learn business, we won't be able to use what we are passionate about. So my question to you, because I see you online and you're constantly educating your audience, which is fantastic. You share a lot of stories, you ask questions, you're really educating your audience on not only the benefit of naturopathic medicine, but on how they can do something to help themselves. I love that on Instagram you say, I think that's such a powerful phrase. DM me if you want to be my next success health story, because it really tells people, okay, I got to get this doctor to help me because success is what I'm looking for. So tell me a little bit about your framework when it comes to business, to social media, wherever you want to start, go for it.
And so I want to tell a bit of backstory with this too, because I graduated in 2015. And as you said, we didn't have a vast business program at the school. We had a few classes in it, but I graduated largely not knowing how to get people to the front door. And I totally agree with where you say, we graduate with tons of knowledge, amazing teachers. We can help a lot of people, but trying to get them into our office is the ultimate challenge. So for the first 3 years, I struggled. And I think a lot of people listening might resonate with this. You have a lot of debt, there's a lot of pressure, but you're also really like eager and enthusiastic to help people. But it's like, how do I get people to come see me? And that's why after 3 years of just the struggle and the frustration and just feeling stuck, I ultimately was like, I have to change something. Because the old saying is, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So the big change for me at the 3 year mark was starting to get my voice and face out there with video marketing. And I have a coach to thank for this because I followed him for over 12 years now, and he has a lot of good online courses. And one of them was Social Story Selling System. And all that means is selling your products and services through social media channels. And it can be any platform. I just happened to pick Instagram because I had an existing base there. And that's where I started to deliver these free health tips. And that's all it is, really. It's just like, hop on there, show people your face, give them a bit of free health information that they can apply right away, that gets them thinking about their health differently. And then you can just ask them to DM you. So that power statement you're talking about, or that call to action, is so critical, because a lot of times people will post information or they'll put a message out there, but then there's no call to action. And so it might seem pushy, and people sometimes get hesitant with that at first. But if you give away free content and information all the time, it is like a shameless ask at the end. You should not feel bad about saying, hey, if you have questions, let me know. If you want more info, shoot me a message. After you've just spilled a ton of free information, you're on there giving, giving, giving. It's totally okay to ask people to reach out. And after you do this enough, people will go, hey, I know this guy, I like this guy, and I trust him. And once you secure those three things, people are a lot more likely to reach out and ask for help. And that's why this is going on 24/7 if you use this on social media platforms, because if you just let your stories run for a day, you're getting that continuous exposure to people. You're just reminding them you exist, you're tapping them on the shoulder, but you're giving so much value to your audience that eventually people will say, you know what? I do have that health problem going on, and Dr. Drew probably can help. So I'm going to send him a message. And that one framework that I just kind of gave you there, it absolutely changed my life. In a year and a half, I doubled my income. And then a year and a half later, I doubled it again. And I know I'm harping on income right now, but really the bigger thing is I've been helping more people. At the end of the day, it's like I've been able to reach and help way more people. And then the money just kind of comes with it. I think where I had it wrong at first is I just wanted to be an amazing doctor and I didn't have the business hat on. And what changed for me after that 3 years of frustration and starting to do this marketing was then I started putting the business and the marketing hat on first. And that's not to say that the doctoring took a back seat, but I think making that flip is absolutely critical for new docs or people that are struggling to grow their practice. Start focusing on being a good business person and how to market and how to really identify people's pain points and then give them solutions and a framework to follow. And then when you ask them to message you, to reach out, to work with you, it's just like it totally looks after itself. And I remember I had that moment, because everyone has that moment where they want to make a change and they're like, I am sick of this and I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to live like this anymore. And that could be a turning point where you have to lose weight, end a toxic relationship, change jobs. Like those moments happen in life. And that was a really big turning point for me in January of 2019, where I was like, I am sick of this and I know I'm capable of more. And I had a business coach in Craig Ballantyne, I'll drop his name here, that was like, start doing video marketing online. I can honestly say I'm forever changed. And it's given me the lifestyle, the freedom, the flexibility to travel the world, run a full-time practice, do what I want when I want. I get goosebumps talking about it sometimes because it's just amazing how different life could have been if I didn't go down this path. And so now I just love it. And it's been really good.
A lot of people know that I have 3 books. However, many don't that I also offer continuing education online courses. This is actually how I started AcuPro Academy, to support new practitioners. You can choose from TCM treatment for common mental disorders, fertility, pregnancy, thyroid disorders, but also specific ones like scalp acupuncture or cosmetic acupuncture online course. All these are pre-recorded, so you can watch them on your own time. And since you have access to them forever, you can revisit the information anytime you need. You will receive a certificate with your name on it after you pass a multiple choice quiz. And if you're truly not satisfied with any of my online courses, I offer a 7-day money-back guarantee, as I stand behind my products and truly, truly want you to benefit from them. So go check them out on my website, acuproacademy.com, and click the TCM course tab on the menu bar, or check out the link in the show notes below. Thank you for sharing this, because that's a great story. Having someone to mentor or to coach is always good. The other thing that I really like that you said, I have to switch from the business hat versus the practitioner or doctor's hat and put the business hat on first. Asking for something, you give so much free content, and then you ask. And I know a lot of practitioners that will say, oh, but it feels icky and weird and, car salesman kind of like. And I always say, well, do you want to help people or not? So you can provide free content and educate the world. That's fantastic. But unless those people take action and come and see you and get supported by whatever tools you use, how is it helping them completely? So asking is not asking, is literally telling people, hey, do you want a full-on support for your health? I'm here. They like you, they see you online. So then they start to know you. They're like, hey, it's Dr. Drew. And then they start trusting you. And eventually they're going to click that DM and go ask you a question. And I think it takes people time. They need to see you a few times online before they're going to go and contact you. Online, you feel like you start knowing the person. So, my question to you is, because I get that all the time online, because I'm online too, like you. And it took me a while to feel comfortable on camera. And one of the things that a lot of people say is, oh, I can't be on camera. I'm so shy. I feel so uncomfortable. I just don't like to be on camera. I don't know what to say. So, what do you say to them when they come and they go, I don't think I can put my face online. I'm too scared?
Yeah. It's going to be really tough at first. I should show you my first video. We could have a great laugh about it. It felt not right and it was impossible to watch. And then you're listening to your voice. And to be honest, I don't know if that ever fully goes away. Once that red light comes on and the recording's going, it's like the butterflies kick up. I've just gotten way better at dealing with it. And if you have gifts and you have information and you have to get it to people and you deprive them of that, it's like, you can't operate like that. Like your solutions could be helping someone today. Do it for them, not just for you. But also, there are some ways to rip the band aid off. And so, what I did is I just did those videos straight for 1 month. And then, guess what? After 1 month, no more problem. But at first, it's really, really tough. Record yourself in a short video, 30 to 60 seconds. You don't even have to post it, you don't have to show it to anyone, but you just do that 30 to 60-second clip every day for a month. And eventually, you'll have a few in there that you like that you will post. And the other ones, if you hate them, get rid of them. But at least you've done the practice reps because nobody is amazing at anything the first time. We all struggle. But if you just get those 30 out of the way, it completely blasts through any resistance. And then you just get better and better and better. And that was kind of the process I went through, was to just try and get through that first 30 days. You don't have to share it with anyone. I can literally now just whip my phone out anywhere. I could be traveling the world. I could be in my office. I could be walking on the street and just film a quick 30, 60, or 90-second clip. Boom, give me a topic and you just roll with it. Now, it wasn't always that easy. I used to have sticky notes. I used to need prompts. I used to have to do a bunch of reshoots. So like, yeah, you can kind of look at my page now and see what I brought it to, but it wasn't always that glamorous. But you know what I learned through this process too is it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be perfect. I mean, especially when you're using stories, those disappear in 1 day. Who cares? It's really not a big deal at the end of the day. If someone loves it, they'll stay. If someone doesn't, they'll go. And it's like, that's not a big deal. You weren't going to sell or convert them anyway as a patient. So it's not a big deal. So you really start to craft your ideal avatar and your ideal patient by doing this, because the people that really resonate with you stick around. I remember in my first 3 years, you get these cold calls or these cold patients that would come in and they don't know you. They don't understand what you do. They have no idea how you can help. And so not only are you trying to take a history and give them a treatment plan, you're also trying to convince them and twist their arm that you can help. And I always felt that was just a frustrating process, that half the time it didn't work. And then, well, how much is that? No, I don't want to do it. I don't want your supplements. It's too expensive. It was just a really exhausting 1 hour. Now, when people come in, the term I've been using lately is like, they're just hot and ready. They are ready to go because they've watched you for a while. They've seen you. They know you. A friend has seen you. And then when it comes time to take the history, give the treatment plan, and suggest stuff, they're ready to go, and the resistance is just not there. So the videos completely unlock that process for me too, because I remember the patients I did have in the first few years, it was just a really hard interaction. Compared to now, it doesn't feel like work half the time. I'm just helping people. They're eager, they're ready to go, and it just flows so much better.
Because they know you.
Yeah,
Even though they've never met you, they know
yeah,
you, right? Because they've seen you. So I want everybody to really take those 3 points down. What Drew said. First is, don't do videos for you. You're doing it to help people. So
yep,
even though it's hard and it's difficult, you're not doing it for you. You're doing it because you want to help. If you want to help, you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Two, Practice, 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 because we all suck at the beginning. Believe you me, my first video, I looked like a robot. My arms didn't move. I didn't even look at the camera. I was so scared. It was just so ridiculous. But that's the thing. It's like learning to drive, learning to needle a patient. At first, we're so scared. We're so slow. We don't know what to do. And eventually, with practice, we feel confidence, right? You can't have confidence without practice. So that's the second point you mentioned, which I love. And the third point was it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't look for perfection. Look to help people. So I love those 3 points that you raised because it's exactly how you help people. And you mentioned that now when people come and see you, they know you, they know what you're doing, they've used your tips and what you've said, and it made so much sense to them. And they're like, okay, I need more help from this person. So getting outside of our comfort zone is literally the same as when we went back to school. I mean, I sat there the first few weeks going, oh my God, this is so much information. I just can't process it. I can't do this. This is crazy. This is so overwhelming. And eventually it all makes sense and you
Yeah.
graduate and you pass a license and everything is okay. And I think it's really sad when people went to school and are passionate about what they learned and they can't help people and they give up because that's so sad. All this knowledge, all this help, you could really support so many patients and you give up because of the scary part that is the business. It shouldn't be scary. It should be just an extra tool to help us promote what we can do because really we are first teachers, nothing else. We're here to educate the population. And then once they know, oh, this is what you do, this is how you do it. Oh, okay, I'm interested. I want to come, right? So I really appreciate you sharing this. Another question I get from a lot of people, specifically on social media, is I wake up and I don't have any ideas. What should I talk about? What should I share? I run out of ideas, right?
Yeah.
Because your stories, usually you have quite a few stories, let's say on Instagram per day. You have a lot of ideas and you share a lot. So, how do you come up with that? Because I think people struggle with that as well.
Yes, for sure. Great question. And I have some awesome solutions for this because I had the same problem at first. It's like, what do I say? I'll start off by the simplest thing you can do. And this is what I've done really well the last few years. Once I learned this, there was a book I read called Traffic Secrets. The number one takeaway from there was if you're stuck for content, just at least start documenting your day. And that's very simple. Document your day. Like, what did you do? Whether it's what did you eat, workout, cool stuff you're doing at work. Maybe you're preparing your clinic room for the day. Like, just taking a picture of that. Like, that's about as simple as you need to be if you're really stuck for content and you don't know where to start. Is like, just document the day. Cool stuff, interesting stuff, things that you find useful. People want to know what their doctor's up to. They're always curious, and it's not always just of the practice and the professional side, but what else is my doctor doing? What's he doing on the weekend? What are his hobbies? What are his interests? So this is your chance to showcase a bit of that as much as you're comfortable with. I know a lot of people would say, well, I don't want my whole life online. Well, that's fine. Then you draw the boundary wherever you want. But I think documenting the day, if you're stuck for content, is a really easy place to fall back to. And then if you want to structure your content, you need to think of, okay, I have a practice. I don't have as many patients as I want. If I were to fill my practice with the patients I want, what sort of conditions would those patients have? And the reason you think that way is because if you have these certain conditions you really like to treat or you're really knowledgeable at and you just enjoy those kind of cases, that's how you want to start doing your marketing. So for me, when I did the content creation exercise, and it's just called a 5x5, okay? So you just get a 5x5 grid and you go, days on top and then topics down the side. And you just think, okay, if I have 5 things I really like to do in practice, I'm going to do each day of the week a video on that. So it could be like MSK, and then it could be digestion and gut health, and then it could be immune system, and then it could be hormones, and then it could be sleep. So right away, I have my big 5 topics of things I really like to treat. Because if you keep doing content on those videos, those are the patients that are going to reach out to you. So your practice is going to be filled with those patients with those problems. And then you just get better and better at treating them. Plus, you really like to treat them in the first place. So that's why you do content on it. The things you're not as good at, the things that you don't have a passion for, those don't usually come into your practice as much because your content is driving your ideal patient to you. And the cool thing with that is like that's evergreen. When I look at those 5 topics, You can do a video on sleep every single week from the dawn of time until we are all long gone from this place. So that will never go away. Same thing with pain, same thing with gut health, same thing with hormones, same thing with immune system. I mean, those have been my big five for years now. And I just keep doing new videos. You're wearing different clothes, you're in different places, you have a slightly different spin on it, and you just rinse, repeat. And you just get better and better and better at talking about those things too. Because if you do 50 videos on low energy, for example, do you think by the end of that you're going to have more knowledge around low energy? Well, it's like, of course you will. You have researched it probably 30 or 40 times. You've read about it 10 or 20 times, and then you keep doing the videos on it. It's like you become an encyclopedia for those topics. So when you're in the room with a patient and they have low energy, they're just like amazed at what comes out of your mouth. And you know the differential diagnosis, you know the proper assessment, you know the questions to ask them, you know how it relates to their day-to-day, because you've done that material so many times. It's driven it so deep. So at first I did the videos just to drive patients to the door, but I realized the side effects from doing those videos are actually more important, because it changes you as a doctor, it changes you as a person, and it solidifies your knowledge at such a deep level. It is crazy. Just to wrap up your original question, you create a 5x5 grid of like, okay, here we're going to do the 5 topics across, and whatever topics you want, whoever you want to treat, you put those up there. And then you just have different ways of talking about them. So if you want to put down the other column, it would be things like myths around those, stats around those. You can use celebrity examples. You can use your own personal examples. So I could be like, say I'm talking about MSK one day, I could loop in the fact that I used to deal with chronic pain. I found these treatments really helpful. If you have a ligament or tendon or joint problem going on, maybe consider X, Y, and Z. And oh, by the way, prolotherapy is an amazing treatment. And if you need help with this, let me know. And then the topics are always the same throughout the week, but you're just putting slightly different spins on it. And then, like I said, you film it in a different place, you have different clothes on, you put a different spin on it, and you just rinse, repeat. The 5x5 content grid is absolutely key. And I could actually give you a link to a worksheet in the PDF if you wanted to link it to the audience. If they're curious about what that actually looks like, there's easily downloadable things. And honestly, if you just do that exercise, plus the document your day, you'll never have to worry about content again.
Thank you so much for sharing this. And yes, we would love the PDF. I'll put it in the show note. That's really generous of you. That would be awesome that way, because I know this is more auditory, so people can have a visual, because a lot of people are visual. I also really like the fact that you are realizing, I guess that's the word, that doing all those videos and teaching people and educating people online made you a better practitioner. Because for me, when I started teaching in 2008, at first I was like, oh my God, this is so hard. But it made me such a better practitioner. You're absolutely right. Because first of all, you know your material so well. And when I started teaching, I had to revise things to make sure I knew how to answer all the questions, like know my subject so well, so deep. So it made me such a better practitioner. So that's another incentive to go and educate people online, is going to make you revise your material more deeply and make you a better practitioner and communicator with your patients, which in turn will make them trust you so much more. Do you do any other promotional material than just being, let's say, on Instagram? Do you do anything else to market yourself?
Yeah. So this was another thing I learned through the coaching is do your best to record material once for your primary platform. And everybody listening, if this is new to you, figure out what your primary platform is. Like it could be Instagram, it could be LinkedIn, it could be Facebook, it could be YouTube, it could be TikTok. It really doesn't matter. Whatever works, works. So figure out what your primary platform is, record content for that, but then you should always cross post to the other ones. So have I cross posted and done stuff on YouTube? Yes. Have I done this for Facebook? You bet. Have I done TikTok? Yeah, not with much success, but some people kill it on there. So if that's your primary, go for it. So record once and then post it everywhere. So that's a really good tip, because then that way you're not having to record 5 or 6 times. It's like you have your primary and then you just spread it out from there. And so cross posting your content everywhere is probably a really good idea. I recently met with a guy and talked some strategy, because every platform has a different angle and has a different approach. And there's things that work well on one that don't work on another. So again, I have a really good handle on Instagram and I continue to just flourish there with leads and messages. You graduate and we think we know it all and we're just going to hit the ground running. But trust me, tap somebody on the shoulder that's doing it well and just ask, because what you'll find is any high performer is very eager to help. They're very eager to help, and they will say, hey, this worked for me. What are you doing right now? Maybe try this. And it really comes down to action. If you just take some small steps with action with that, then, good things will happen. But yeah, find people that are doing it well and ask for their help.
And you're absolutely right. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to go and contact someone and say, hey, can I take you out for lunch and ask you a bunch of questions? They can say yes, or they can say no. You pick 5 people that you really admire and you want to learn from, and then you start with that. When it comes to social media, I agree. Choose the platform that feels good to you, that you're comfortable with, that you enjoy being on, and then cross-post. So the cross-posting, there's a couple of things. You can use things like Metricool, and I will put the link in the show note as well, which has a completely free version where you can post something and then it'll post on all the other platforms for you. So you don't have to worry about going manually and doing this. With Instagram and Facebook, because it's the same platform, you can cross-post by posting it once. So that really helps. You're right. With YouTube, it's a little bit different because I have long form there that do really, really well for me. And then when they started doing the vertical, which is the shorts, I started repurposing my Instagram reels into shorts. And it's fascinating. Sometimes a reel on Instagram will kill it, and they will do not very well on shorts on YouTube, and vice versa. Some on YouTube are just killing it and don't do really well on Instagram or Facebook. And that's okay, because you literally reaching different people in different platform. And what's really important, I think, and people forget, is that it's not about always the number of followers we have or subscribers we have, although it's great because it puts eyes on more people, but it's what those followers or subscribers are going to do. Are they going to contact you? Are they going to ask you, hey, can I make an appointment? Can I come and see you? I know some acupuncturists, naturopathic doctors that are doing really well. Some of them have 1 million followers on TikTok. However, I've talked to them, and some of them will tell me that they get 0 leads from it, 0 income from it. So you may have 200 followers on Instagram, but hey, if every week someone calls you, it's better than the person that has 1 million and gets 0 call. Right?
Yeah.
So we have to differentiate that too, right?
Totally. Because I had about 500 connections at the time, and I started doing the videos with the 300 or 500 contacts I had on there. I started to get leads, new patients, and generated income from it right away. And with only, less than 1,000. So you do not need 5, 10, 100,000 followers to make this work. As little as like a few hundred, you just start doing it, grow organically, and I've never looked back. If you make good content and you give away free tips and ideas all the time, people will share it, right? And everybody knows somebody well. They probably know about 30 people really well in their circle that they could share it with. And so if you just have good, valuable, purposeful, shareable content, everybody knows 30 people approximately. The spider web that can create from them sharing it is absolutely mind-blowing. And I'll see this play out all the time where it's like, how did you hear about me? And it's like, oh, I heard you from so-and-so. And then after a year of that one so-and-so sent you like 30 people. But if you never found that original person, that would be 30 less people for you. So it's just every little contact along the way can explode your referral network bigger than you could ever imagine. And you don't need a lot of people to do that. Like, you just don't. And Clara's absolutely right. There's people on there with millions of followers. They can't even sell a t-shirt to their audience. And so if anyone out there is hesitant because, oh, I don't have a big following, if you just have a good core group that you're connected to, just start there.
Love it. This week, actually, I've got a DM that someone says, we're doing a follow loop where, 5 of us like follow each other, and then we send it to 5 more people, and then they send it to 5 more, and it's kind of like a follow loop. And so I looked it up, and all those people were acupuncturists in different areas, right, in different part of the world. And they were trying to help each other grow their account by doing a follow loop. So I was very loving. And I explained to her, I said, I will give you a follow if that makes you feel good. No problem. However, understand that I'm not your audience. And so if all those practitioners follow each other, It's great for numbers on the Instagram bio. However, they're not going to engage with your content and they're not your audience. So the algorithm is going to be completely looking at you going, I'm really confused. Are you in Los Angeles or are you all over the world? Because apparently you got followers all over the world. And so I'm really confused. It's like, no, instead, if you want to do a follow loop, go and contact all the businesses in your area and say, hey, can we help each other? Can we engage in each other's content because we have the same audience, which is the same area, right? And even better if you do it with a chiropractor or a yoga studio or a fitness center, because now you're in the loop of people that do the same thing that you do, which is to help people with their health. So sometimes people get locked up into that trying to grow their audience and they'll take anybody and they'll help each other. It's very sweet, but it doesn't work. And she came back and she said, thank you very much. I didn't know this. I learned so much. That's the thing that people don't know. It's the education piece that we don't know. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, it actually, what you just said there reminds me of what helped me a lot in the pandemic. And my timing with this couldn't have been better because I started the videos in 2019. So I had about a year and a bit practice. So when the pandemic hit and everybody was in lockdown, stuck at home on their phones, I had an easy way to access them. So I had, colleagues that they closed their practice. Nobody was answering the phones. Nobody was answering the emails. Yet here I was, I'm like, I'm just going to double down on what's been working and keep the videos going. And then people kept finding me and they're like, can you help? Can you help? Can you help? And I was like, absolutely. And it was a really easy time to market because a lot of people were scared and feel fearful for their health. So they were like, I probably need to get healthy right now. So it was a really easy time to just double down and market harder. But one thing I found really helpful in the pandemic, because everybody was stuck at home, is I just started doing Instagram lives with other health practitioners. Because when you do a live with somebody, it merges your audiences. So now you have my audience looking at my video, my buddy's in it with me, and then his audience is looking at his video, but I'm in it with him. And then you start to share audiences and exposure that way. And it doesn't have to be fancy, pretty, sexy, none of that. It's like I was getting nutrition, dietitians, other naturopathic doctors, chiros, strength and conditioning coaches, anybody that wanted to come on and just have like a 60-minute talk. Crazy leads from that, like ridiculous. Actually, that alone saved me and catapulted me to new heights in 2020, when that was kind of a bad year for a lot of people. If you're running a business, you probably don't want to remember that year, but it was like 2020 and 2021 were my two best years ever. And it's just kind of gone up and up from there. So those really set the tone, those IG lives. And they still work to this day. I just, between travel and fitness and work, I don't dedicate as much time to that anymore. But if you want another easy hack for anyone listening, it's like grab other practitioners that kind of like have a similar but different audience to you, that you would benefit from connecting with, and just start doing some lives. And so that IG lives were golden.
I could see that specifically in 2020 when everybody was stuck at home and nobody was doing anything. It's like, well, might as well just be online. It was scary and we didn't know how long it would last. And it was just so scary for a lot of people financially. So to take it and turn it around and say, okay, no, I'm just going to continue to educate and put myself out there because nobody else is anyway, because they just gave up. Right. So that was awesome. I could talk to you about all this, Drew, for hours. And I know you have a practice and you have to see patients and you have to go. So just final thoughts for my audience.
There's tons more to discuss, but I think I gave them a lot to think about. And of everything we just talked about, you kind of have to take one thing and pull the trigger with it. This is a lot of information, and I know it came at you guys fast, but if you want to change your life, change your practice, help more people, reach more people, then doing video in some way, shape, or form is absolutely the way of the future. People don't read as much. They're not as into blog posts. And this is an easy way for you to upgrade your skills as a practitioner and help more people. So if that's a goal and a core value for you, then you absolutely have to do it. And the easiest thing I would just circle back to is do that 30-day challenge. I'm going to record myself talking, come hell or high water, for 30 to 60 seconds every day. I'm going to watch it back. I'm going to, critique myself. It's a really hard process, but you don't have to share that with anyone. Do that for a month and all the fear and hesitation will go away. And then you'll be on the fast track to just absolutely exploding your career and your life.
Super appreciate that. Thank you so, so much. I told you before we started this podcast, and I'm going to tell you again, you need to create a course for practitioners so they can learn all this stuff in depth with you from you and apply it, because one of the things that is important is to have that coaching kind of thing. So I think you need to do that. That's my first one. And my second one is I really want everybody to take action, because everything that Drew shared today is so valuable, but nothing's going to change if you don't take action. So even like he said, just take one step, one action this week. That's all I want you guys to do, because we're bringing this podcast to truly support your practice. So in turn, you can support more and more and more patients. So thank you so much, Drew, for coming today on the AcuPro Show. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. That was great.
Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I truly hope you benefited from this episode, and I would love for you to share it with a friend that may benefit from it as well. Follow the show, leave a review, and if you want more, go to my website, acuproacademy.com. I have tons of resources there with treatment protocols, case study, free courses, and so much more. And connect with me on all social media at AcuPro Academy. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, Pinterest, and LinkedIn and TikTok. And no matter what, keep rocking it using TCM. Please listen to the disclaimer, because the AcuPro Show podcast and material shared through AcuPro Academy, which is a subdivision of Natural Health Sense Incorporated, are designed solely for educational and entertainment purposes. The utilization of information from this podcast or any associated material is at the user's discretion and risk. This content is not meant to replace the guidance of an acupuncturist, Chinese medicine doctor, medical doctor, physician, or any qualified professional, nor is it a substitute for proper diagnosis or treatment. Users are strongly advised not to ignore or postpone seeking medical advice for any existing medical condition with their healthcare professional regarding any health concerns.